Israel named Hannah who couldn't get pregnant. Every single day, she would visit the temple and pray to God.
O Lord of heaven, if you feel my pain, please answer my prayers and give me a son. I will offer him to you, and he will be yours all his life. And as a son that he has been dedicated to the Lord, I will never cut his hair. I promise.
And so God heard her words and gave her a son, which Hannah named Samuel, meaning, I prayed for you. As promised, Hannah offered Samuel to God and had him grow up in the temple under the high priest Eli. Samuel served the Lord by assisting Eli in the temple. One night, Samuel was sleeping in the tabernacle when he heard someone calling out his name. Then God said, Samuel!
Yes, what is it? Did you call me? I didn't call you. Go back to bed. Oh, I thought I heard someone call my name.
Then God said, Samuel! Again, Samuel got up and went to Eli.
Here I am. Did you call me? I didn't call you. Go back to bed. Oh, okay. Good night.
Samuel again heard someone call his name the third time. Then God said, Samuel!
Here I am. My son, I didn't call you. It seems that it's actually God who's calling you. If someone calls your name again, say, Speak, Lord, your servant is listening.
And so Samuel did as he was told. Then, for the fourth time, his name was called. Then God said, Samuel!
Speak, Lord, your servant is listening.
And so God tells him that he would do all of his threats against Eli and his family, from beginning to the end. God had warned him that judgment is coming because his sons are blaspheming God, and he hasn't disciplined them, and that all of their sins would never be forgiven. The next day, Samuel opens the door of the tabernacle as usual.
Samuel, my son, here I am.
What did God call me? Do not hide from me. Because if you hide or lie anything about it, may God punish you severely.
And so, without hiding anything, Samuel told everything God told him to Eli.
He is the Lord. Let him do what is good in his eyes.
And so, after this event, Samuel was now known and confirmed to be the prophet of God. Samuel grew up and became old, and now had two sons which he appointed as judges. However, his sons were not like him. They were greedy for money and power. So the elders of Israel approached Samuel. Look, you've grown old. You have sons as our judges, but they aren't like you. In fact, they're not like you. Give us a king to judge us like all the other nations have.
But we have God. God is our king. We cannot have any other king other than God.
Then God, do everything they say to you, for they are rejecting me, not you. They don't want me to be their king any longer. Ever since I brought them from Egypt, they have continually abandoned me and followed other gods. And now they're giving you the same treatment? Do as they ask, but they make sure to warn them about the way a king would reign over them. And so, Samuel did.
Everyone, listen to me, for this is how it will be if you have a king. Your children will work for the king, and your properties will be the king's. He will demand your finest fields, yards, harvests, cattle, donkeys, and flock. He will take what you own, and you will be his slaves. When that day comes, you will beg for help from this king, but then the Lord will not help you.
It is so. Still want a king. We want to be like the nations around us. Our king will judge us and lead us into battle.
Then God said, do as they say and give them a king.
Fine, I shall give you a king. All of you go home.
Since the people had asked for a king, God chose a man named Saul for Samuel to anoint as king. Then Samuel took a flask of olive oil and poured it over Saul's head. He kissed Saul and said,
This oil is the sign that the Lord chooses you to rule over his people.
One day, God ordered Saul to defeat the Amalekites. However, instead of doing what God ordered him to do, which was to destroy everything, Saul takes and kills the fine cattle and goods for himself, and killed the king alive. So God became angry and rejected Saul. Even when Saul begged for his forgiveness, God still refused. And God said, Samuel, I have now rejected Saul as the king of Israel. Fill your container with olive oil and go to Bethlehem. Find a man named Jesse who lives there, for I have selected one of his sons to be my king. And so, Samuel fills his container with oil and goes to Bethlehem.
Hello, do you come in peace?
Yes, I do. I have come to sacrifice to the Lord. Purify yourselves and come with me to the sacrifice Jesse and his son will do.
When they arrived, one by one, Jesse showed his son to Samuel, but none of them were the chosen one. So Samuel asked if that was all of Jesse's sons, and sure enough, it was not. Jesse sent someone to get David, who was but the king. And God said, Samuel, I have now rejected. Then God said, this is the one anointed. And indeed, it was a chosen one. Samuel takes the oil and poured it on David's head. And the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully on him from that day. Now, the Philistines went to attack the Israelites. King Saul gathered his army for battle. Then, Goliath, a Philistine champion from Gath, came out to face the forces of Israel and taunted them.
Why are you all coming out to fight? I'm the Philistine champion, but you're only the servants of Saul. Choose one man to come down here and fight me. If he kills me, we will be your slaves. If I kill him, you will be our slaves. I defy the army of Israel today. Choose a man who will fight me.
When the Israelites and Saul heard this, they were terrified and deeply shaken. The next day, David goes. To Saul's camp to bring food to his brother that joined the army. He was talking to his brother when suddenly he heard Goliath shout his usual taunts.
Rah! I defy the
Wait. What will Manuel for today this Kristine? The king will give that one more, but his daughter for a wife. And the man is there for David, what are you doing here today? Did you not see battle? Oh, come on, I was just asking a question.
David's question was reported to Saul. The king had him once.
Let's read it.
Don't worry about this Philistine. I'll go fight him.
Don't be ridiculous. There's no way you can fight this Philistine in a positive way. You're only a boy, and this land is larger than you.
I have been taking care of my father's sheep and goats. When a lion or bear tries to steal a lamb, I'll go after it with a club and rescue the lamb from its mouth. And if the animal threatens me, I catch it by the jaw and club it to death. I have done this to the bears and lions, and I will do it to this pagan Philistine too, for he has defied the armies of the living God. The Lord who rescues me from the claws of the bears and the lions, will rescue me from the Philistine.
Okay, alright. Here, this is the hammer.
Wait. I'm not used to that.
David refused the armor and picked up 5 smooth stones from a stream and put them into his shepherd's bag. Then, armed with only his shepherd's staff, he stepped to the cross of the valley to fight the Philistine.
I look to you, coming at me with a stick. Come over here, and I'll feed your flesh to the birds and wild animals.
You come to me with a sword, spear, and javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord whom you have defied. Today, the Lord will conquer you, and I will kill you and cut off your head. And then I will give the dead bodies of your men to birds and wild animals.
David quickly ran out to meet him and take a stone from his bag. He shot it in his sleeve and hit the Philistine before him. The stone struck him. Goliath stumbled and fell face down on the ground. He then ran over and took Goliath's sword and used it to cut his head. David triumphed over the Philistine with only a slingshot and a stone. When the Philistines saw their champion was dead, they turned and ran. Then the men of Israel ran the sword. After that incident, the people began to love After the incident, the people began to love David much more than Saul. He hated him and wanted to kill him. He tells his servants and his son, Jonathan, to kill David. He hated him and wanted to kill him. He tells his servants and his son, Jonathan, to kill David. However, Jonathan was already best friends with David, refused, and tried convincing King Saul and said that David shouldn't be killed.
The king must not sit against his servant Nissi. He's never done anything for harm. He has always helped you in any way he could. Have you forgotten about his time? He was going to risk his life to Kristine's giant, and how the Lord brought a victory to all Israel as a result. You were certainly happy about them. Why should you murder an innocent man like David? There is no reason for it at all.
However, even with that, the tormenting spirit that God had sent to him, when he became jealous of David, tormented Saul once more. He threw a spear at David, which he dodged. David escaped and fled into the night. After David fled, he meets Jonathan. After finding out Saul's real intention, which was killing David, the two best friends say their heartfelt goodbyes before separating. After Saul receives news that David was hiding in the wilderness, he brings the troop to En-Gedi. There, he and David met again. But then, after hearing what David had to say, he finally realizes wrongdoing, and thinks that David would become wonderful king. After Saul dies in a battle with the Philistines, all the tribes of Israel went to David and told him,
We are your own flesh and blood. We are your own flesh and blood. At the past, when Saul was our king, you were the one who really led the forces of Israel.
Then God said, You will be the shepherd of my people in Israel. You will be the Israel leaders.
So there at Hebron, King David made a covenant before the Lord with all of the elders of Israel, and they anointed him king of Israel. David.
So there, King David made a covenant before the Lord with all the elders of Israel, and they anointed him as king of Israel.
Long live the King David! Long live the King David! Long live the King David!
David was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years in all.